most people are really not aware until it's too late. And it really stinks that's the case, but it's what we take for granted a lot of times when we say, oh, our phone popped up and knew I was at Panera Bread to order this. But problem is that that can be used, unfortunately, sometimes against you. And so you can often see surprises when you go into a case with how much location sharing or cloud access is actually going on.
Welcome to the Herlihy Family Law Podcast, your trusted source for expert insights on navigating family law matters with clarity and care. Whether you're tackling tough decisions or seeking guidance for your family's future, we're here to help. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Herlihy Family Law. I'm your host, Alison Herlihy, and today we're talking about something that can have a major impact in your divorce case, but often gets overlooked: your digital privacy. I'm joined by Tim Hasser of Hasser Enterprises, who specializes in IT and cybersecurity. Tim, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Allison. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So why is digital privacy such an important issue when someone's going through a divorce?
Man, it really is critical. Phones, accounts, smart devices, they hold basically the most intimate details of your life: text messages, photos, location history, financial records. That can really obviously affect a case if that is out there and in the open. And starting early to get it done really can help protect yourself down the road to just avoid the accidental creation of a bunch of harmful digital evidence, essentially.
Yeah, that's a great point. What do you think are some of the biggest risks that people don't realize that they're facing?
Typically, I would say the persistent location tracking is a big one. And when I say that, location tracking just in general, that's always being done that people may forget about. Cloud backups are also a very big thing. Backups of phones or other devices. Family sharing accounts also, or really any shared type of accounts, can also come into play there as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that they're sharing like an iCloud with their spouse.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The sharing is a big deal. And then, of course, physical trackers and whatnot that we'll probably get into as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. Do you think that most people are aware that their information could be accessed or monitored? Do people even know about this?
Unfortunately, no. Most people are really not aware until it's too late. And it really stinks that's the case, but it's what we take for granted a lot of times when we say, oh, our phone popped up and knew I was at Panera Bread to order this. But problem is that that can be used, unfortunately, sometimes against you. You can often see surprises when you go into a case with how much location sharing or cloud access is actually going on.
Yeah.
It's typically much more than people assume. Or no.
And I think some people may think, I'm not doing anything bad, so I'm not worried about it. But one thing you might forget is, for instance, you need to be able to go see your lawyer without your spouse knowing exactly when you're there. So
Absolutely.
Privacy has implications for everybody, not just like a quote unquote guilty party.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's really the main thing here, is that both sides are going to be trying to do the same thing there in terms of consolidating your data and whatnot. And it's not that you necessarily have things to hide. It's just you don't want your entire life out there. And,
right.
And you don't want, obviously, someone that you're in an active lawsuit against to be able to have tons of personal information on you. That's just not a good thing ever.
Yeah. Let's start by talking about smartphones. So what should somebody check first on their phone?
So I would say the first thing would be location sharing and unknown trackers. As if unknown trackers, meaning if you're being tracked and it's a tracker around you or something tracking you that you were unaware of.
Yeah, so that'd be like a physical device, like an AirTag or something.
It can even be your iPhone itself. It can be many things like that. The unknown trackers would certainly include an AirTag, items like that. On the iPhone, in the actual Find My app, there's a little button you can press on there that will actually pull up and search for unknown devices for you throughout the entire day.
That's a great tip.
Make sure you have your Bluetooth turned on. Yeah, and then Android, which is other main item, under their safety and emergency settings, they actually have unknown tracker alerts built into their phone where it will actually pop up and alert you, just like the iPhone will Same idea. There's also some actual standalone applications that you can purchase, or I believe they're actually mostly free of charge, that you can download apps on your phone that will also help with that as well.
So it sounds like with those, you can set it and forget it. Like you don't even have to think, I need to go check this. It just checks for you.
It will check for you, yes. And typically, if your notifications are enabled, it'll pop up and say, hey, we found this. And you can actually, typically, since they put out a Bluetooth signal, it's a pretty weak signal, meaning that if you walk around and actually have a lock on the signal, it's like the hot and cold game when you're kids walking around. And, are you hot? Am I cold? Am I hot? Am I cold? And so you can actually physically find where the device is, or at least the general,
pretty
very
close.
Specific location. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Within a few feet.
How common is location sharing between spouses, and why is that a concern?
So it is extremely common. Many couples will use the Find My feature in iPhone. They call it Find My. It used to be Find My Friends, and now they call it Find My. They like to change the names every few years. But Google Family also has a similar, that would be the Android version of the Apple Find My. And they really have the sharing for convenience sake. And for me and my wife, it works great, where I can see if she's picking up the kids or how close she is getting back home with the kids, something like that. But in the event of a divorce, that is absolutely something you don't want to see, like you mentioned earlier, if you're having to meet with your lawyer or something like that. So obviously that is a very big concern with the location sharing.
Yeah. And when people get divorced, a lot of times it can be a safety issue too. If you've got a situation where people are fleeing domestic violence or something like that, and you're actually in danger from your spouse, you definitely don't want them to know where you are.
Absolutely. And when that's the case, what really comes into concern is your daily routines can start being tracked, and any new living situations or even like new relationships that you may be in, anything could all come up and be shown, and that could affect your case.
Yeah.
Big time.
What are some simple steps someone can take right away to secure their phone, other than what you already mentioned?
So there's a few things that you can do that are very simple just from the get-go. There are trying to detect trackers in your location sharing is the number one thing that you can just go right into and turn off. The location sharing you can go right into and turn off. The tracker detecting, again, set it and forget it. Something that you can just turn on. It's really not a bad idea for anyone to have it on, really.
Yeah.
It's just a good passive. It runs passively on your iPhone, so it really doesn't take a whole lot of battery. Same for the Android, obviously. And it's so worth it. It's just to not have it is insanity in my eye. And then of course with any location sharing, I recommend to any clients I have who reach out to me in this situation, I tell them to just go ahead and turn off their location sharing completely. Any sort of GPS location trackers that or apps that have allowed access to your GPS location, I typically go ahead and recommend that all of those are turned off, and you start turning them back on a use by use or need by need basis.
I tell my clients too, and this seems like really obvious, but a lot of us don't think of it, is just as simple as like your password or your PIN on your phone. Like a lot of us, like your spouse probably knows that. And yes. If you're getting divorced, you probably want to change that because you don't want them like looking through your phone every time you're in the shower or whatever.
100%. And that's going to be the Face ID will try your face once or twice and then typically ask for a passcode. And that's really moving into physical security. Obviously.
Yeah, like fingerprints are used sometimes.
Correct. And you really don't want your devices ever sitting out, but it's bound to happen. It's just going to. Everyone has their phone on them at all times, and you can't always hold it, or you might not have a pocket. And so it can get put down or put somewhere else. We 100% recommend your iPhone and your Android are fully encrypted by your passcode. So if somebody knows your passcode, then nothing's encrypted. If somebody gets a hold of an old backup of your phone, which could either be through an iCloud backup, or sometimes people can back them up directly to computers. Either way, if you have that passcode, then you now have access to everything that's on that phone. That is a very big deal, being able to change your passwords and your lock screen passcode. For instance, real quick, before this podcast, I had to go run grab my iPhone, and in order to log into your iCloud account online, you have to have your username, your password, and then your iPhone will send you a multi-factor code. I don't have my iPhone, and there's a little known trick that you can actually go ahead and find the location with only the username and password. And so having your iCloud password changed is also just as important as changing your lock screen password as well.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, it's a very big deal.
So we touched a little bit on like the risks of sharing accounts like your iCloud or email or subscriptions, or like some people even share social media accounts. What kind of risk can that create during a divorce?
Wow, yes. So sharing social media accounts, that can really be a big one there. So that actually falls into location tracking as well. So specifically, if we want to get into social media, the number one thing about social media, especially in any sort of lawsuit, and not necessarily even a divorce case, but just stay silent, radio silence online. Seriously, you want to, and by that, I don't mean just, hey, don't post stuff. I'm sure you would agree as a lawyer, probably never a good idea to make public statements or post things.
No, I don't think there's anything you can post on social media that's going to help your divorce case.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that because you're the one saying it and you're the expert, Alison. But yes, 100% I agree. And another big thing about that is we've had social media around for so long now. It is just your history on social media can go back 10 or even 20 years. Mm-hmm. And having your actual profile pages private is a very big deal as well. That's something that a lot of people just want to keep public. And I get that. You want to stay in touch with people. But during a time like a divorce, especially, you really have to keep things very true and close to yourself. And it's never really a good idea to have lots of social posts while you're in.
Yeah, like you can easily make yourself look bad because divorce is a highly emotional time. So it can be really tempting to get on there and pop off with what you think is some kind of clever or insightful comment or something, but that can really come back to bite you. If somebody else has your password, they could go on there and post things as if they are you. And then you're going to be trying to explain, oh, I didn't really do that. And people may or may not believe you.
Yes. And that is very hard sometimes to prove whether or not you did or did not post it.
Yeah.
So yes, that goes with changing passwords as well. Changing passwords and always making sure that multi-factor authentication is enabled. If there's one thing we can really beat in with passwords is multi-factor authentication. It is so important.
And that's true for everybody, right?
Yes, true for everybody and true for everything. Obviously, here it matters as well. But when you do not have multi-factor authentication, I believe Microsoft released a stat 2 or 3 years ago showing that over 99% of emails that have been hacked in, I believe it was 22 or 23, did not have multi-factor authentication enabled.
Oh, wow.
Google has also released similar reports, as well as Facebook, who owns Instagram and whatnot. All the different social media companies, they have also almost become their own, almost an iCloud account is like a Snapchat account almost, because you can share your location through Snapchat.
There's so much information on there. Yeah.
Yes, you can share it through everywhere else. You can also message people through that. So there's a whole nother list of messages and photos and things like that will also need to be private, and that you would need to make sure you're not either sharing with anyone or that you're not, you want all your social media to be private during a time like this.
Yeah. What types of information could your spouse potentially access through shared accounts, like shared cloud accounts or email?
Really, they can access pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize sometimes that you at some point chose to have all your photos and all your text message synced to your cloud, which means your spouse can see everything you're doing on your phone, even though they're nowhere near your phone.
Yeah, just a quick list off the top of my head. Messaging history, all your iMessages, any apps you have, location history, photos, browsing history, any of your saved passwords you have for other sites, any other devices you may have linked to that iCloud account or Google account. Man, it's just literally, that's just off the YouTube search history. Yeah, just all sorts of stuff, pretty much literally everything. really not sure of anything I can think of they could not access.
So does somebody need to, if they share accounts with their spouse, like email or cloud accounts, do they need to create entirely new accounts, or is there another way, like an easier way to deal with that?
So typically the recommendation is to create a new account, but before you do that, you have to make sure that whatever information you have currently on the account, you either can try and back that up so you can transfer it for yourself, but also being aware of what information is on there. Yes, you can always go in and try to remove information that you do not like being visible to somebody who's on the other side of the courtroom from you. But just as a word of caution, it is very hard to truly delete things in this digital age nowadays. Things just typically are not ever truly deleted. If you ever really want to get scared, you can look at Snapchat's policy of their temporary videos. They actually can hold them indefinitely.
And they do.
And they do.
Yeah. I tell people all the time the internet is written in permanent marker.
It really is.
I mean, there's no erasing anything.
There really is not. And that's one of the scariest things about it. And especially with our age group, when we were growing up, everything was so new and we just posted our entire lives on social media. And some people are becoming more aware of that, but a lot of people still just, use it, thinking of it more as just a little soapbox to stand on, as opposed to it's almost like a bank account you're speaking out of.
Yeah. When you think about the kind of information that's in there, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One thing I think is important to note too is like there can be potentially legal risks in accessing your spouse's accounts, even if you know the password.
Absolutely.
It depends. I mean, I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, but if they gave you their password and they know that you have it, that's one thing. But if you just happen to guess it because it's your kid's birthday or something, you could potentially be running afoul of the law. So that's important to know too. And then on the issue of like physical trackers, if you place a physical tracking device in a vehicle that does not have your name on it, you are likely breaking the law and you could be prosecuted for that.
And that brings up that just sparked another big deal. So with tracking apps, and I'll see if I can possibly present this real quick here, but with tracking apps, there are some very interesting items when it comes to that. Social media and location sharing, you can kind of see here down at the bottom that we have. When it comes to any tracking apps, though, just specifically looking at the little table I have on top showing how you can figure out if you're being tracked on an iPhone or an Android, one very important issue is whenever you get that notification showing you've been tracked, always document it. Always take screenshots, make sure a date and time are included, because that is, you can tell people all day and sing as loud as you want saying that it was happening, but unless if you have proof and documented evidence, then it's basically useless besides knowing for your own sanity. And so always document things before you change settings. Take a snapshot of the setting before and after, so you know the date it was changed. So if anything was accessed after from somebody illegally obtaining a password, that evidence would be thrown out. It's federally illegal to access other people's stored communications and information. It's written very clear. I have to know this as an IT guy. I'm not allowed to hack people. It's against the law.
But like we were talking about earlier with all the sharing that people do as spouses, like if you can show that your spouse voluntarily gave you their password and they knew that you knew it and they never changed it, then they've put themselves at risk.
Yes. And a lot of these settings are by default with the sharing and stuff as well.
Yeah. It's a really like fact specific inquiry that depends on exactly what happened with those people in that case.
It sounds like it could probably be a he said, she said, saying, oh, I didn't give her the password. Oh, I did give her.
And then the judge has to decide who they believe.
Yeah, which no one.
So why take the risk is the point. Yeah. Let's talk about smart homes. It seems like everything on earth is like Wi-Fi enabled now. Like I was seeing something about a smart microwave, thinking, what is that even for? But what kind of devices should people be thinking about on the smart home front?
Wow, yes. So smart home devices are very sneaky. Smart home devices can really affect a lot of things. Specifically, just the number one issues that you would want to think about right away: smart speakers like Alexa or Google Home, like AI assistant. They all have drop-in features where by dropping in, you can actually go in and listen, have a two-way conversation is what it's meant for, but that could also just be a one-way audio recording.
A listening device. Yeah.
And then obviously with any security doorbells, any security cameras in general, they could either be smart or non-smart. Typically there's always remote access with security cameras like Ring or Nest, which could also fall in. So Ring is made by Amazon, and Amazon has family sharing accounts. The Nest is made by Google. Google has family sharing accounts. So it's very common for all of these accounts to be shared. And the Ring doorbells can just, if your iPhone, somebody had access to your iPhone, they can start seeing your daily routines and stuff like that, which is just very dangerous in general. Smart thermostats, even smart locks. There's many smart devices nowadays. And so really anything connected to the internet can record audio or video and typically takes logs as well. Meaning
even like a refrigerator?
Even a refrigerator.
Wow.
A refrigerator is going to take logs of times that you're passing it. If it has automatic sensors that see when it needs to light up or when you open it. There's a lot of things that are taken as diagnostic data, so the manufacturer can one day look at it and see if they can improve their code. But obviously that data can be used against you. Typically that's in some sort of terms of service agreement. That's a packet that's at the bottom of your refrigerator that you never even open up and see whenever you purchase it.
I know Ring and other types of doorbell camera footage has become really common in divorce cases now. It's almost, in fact, I stay shocked at the number of cameras people have in their houses nowadays. Because it won't just be on the doorbell. People will have cameras all in their whole house.
Yes, interior cameras, exterior cameras.
Yeah.
Neighbors have Ring cameras that record audio as well. Exterior Ring cameras that can 100% hear screaming, yelling coming from the house next door, even a few doors down if you're outside.
Yeah.
There's many smart devices that can do that. Are you able to pull up the smart home devices chart there I had that kind of gives a quick overview of this? So these are the main devices: your Ring doorbell, your Alexa or Amazon Echo, Google Nest, and Google Home devices. Those are all devices that you have to go into individually and make sure that you're not sharing devices. You don't have any extra cameras that have been added in there that you may not know about, that may not.
Yeah. And so it seems like basically you're recommending going into these devices and either removing users that you don't want to have access to it or doing like a factory reset on it.
Either or. Factory reset's always going to be your best bet, but typically if you have any issues, you can always call a company like us to help. The actual companies themselves, Ring, Amazon, Google, Ring being Amazon essentially, they are willing to help you. But again, when you call in to a technician, a lot of times you don't really know which one you're going to get. And so it's always good to go through and double check on your own and just look at everything.
And a lot of people don't have hours and hours to call 1-800 numbers and talk to somebody in a call center and figure out whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the case. Sometimes it's just easier to go ahead and start fresh.
I know one thing I think a lot of people don't realize too is we have Google Home speakers at our house and they have a switch where you can turn the microphone off.
Yes.
And we leave the microphone off all the time. Unless like we're going to use it right then we turn it on and tell it something and then we turn the microphone back off.
Yes, there's a button on the Alexa that does that as well. And then the newer Alexas that have cameras on the front of them where you can actually use those as a camera as well. They actually have a little slider where you can physically block the camera to where it's not recording or anything, because they do sense when you're walking by now as well. They have little infrared scanners that will look for you when you're walking by so they can light up, try to get your attention.
Creepy.
Yes, I know.
If someone's just starting the divorce process or they think they might be heading in that direction, what are the top steps you think they should immediately take to protect their privacy? Oh,
wow. Yeah. So number one, change your passwords. Change all of your passwords, pass keys, anything related
So this is
to
on
that.
your physical phone, your email, your social media, your online banking, everything.
Absolutely. I typically start with my email because you can typically reset passwords to everything else through your email.
Yeah.
So we usually start with email, but not change your password and enable two-factor authentication. Always enable two-factor authentication. Usually that will either be through a text message to your phone, or you can actually have an app on your phone, which is a bit more secure, that you can use that will generate a new code every 30 seconds. Google has the Authenticator app, and Microsoft has, I believe they call it Microsoft Authenticator. Very simple to use and can really save your rear end sometimes. That would be the number one thing: passwords, and multi-factor.
You think your email is your most important account to secure first, right?
Absolutely. Just because everything else, your social media.
The email is like the key to everything.
Exactly. You can reset your password through your email for pretty much everything, including financial items. And so if your email is ever compromised, that's a big deal. Scanning for trackers and disabling location sharing, immediate number 2. Number 3, I would probably say to go ahead and just start creating new accounts that you can go ahead and make sure that you're not part of a shared account, and create just a fresh account that you can start from brand new and not have to worry about any sort of sharing. Hit your social media next, and everything that you change or do, screenshot, document.
If somebody has done all this, but they still think they're like being tracked or monitored somehow, what should they do? Is this when you need to bring in a professional to help?
There are times when, yes, you would want to bring in a professional. There are private investigators, or you can actually call the police as well. I'm sure you have plenty of resources there for that. I've actually been employed before privately to help with items like this as well, because there can be times and devices out there that someone could purchase on the black market that may not pick up somewhere on an iPhone. Who knows? It's not typically the case, but I have seen it before.
Wow.
So there are times when professional help is absolutely needed, and even I would say just recommended, especially if you do find any sort of information or documentation that you have been tracked or anything like that at any point, or that any of your information has been compromised, or that someone on the other side of the courtroom has gotten information that you did not know they had. That's probably when you want to bring in a professional to double check and figure out how they got that information, where it could be stored, how it could be accessible, who else can have access to it, everything.
And it's important to know too, because like we touched on earlier, if you can show that information was acquired by illegal means, then you might be able to keep that evidence out of your case.
Correct. And a lot of times it is.
Tim, this has been incredibly helpful. Thank you so much for your insight. And if someone wants to learn more or get help, professional help securing their data, where can they find you?
They can find us. Our website is hasserllc.com, HASSERLLC.com, and they can always just call the office as well. Our phone number is 251-444-3773. We're always willing to help and always looking for people along the Gulf Coast that we can help out.
Great. And for our listeners, if you're going through a divorce, this is your reminder to take your digital privacy seriously from the very beginning.
Please.
Thanks for listening to Herlihy Family Law, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Herlihy Family Law Podcast. Remember, you don't have to face family law challenges alone. Visit HerlihyFamilyLaw.com or call 251-432-7909 to learn more.